and we should be going.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another episode of the Mod Zoo. My name is Jeremy, also known as Drugnor on the forum, and this week we've got quite the mix of characters with us to discuss the topic of laying out and designing your very first hardline water cooling loop. With me today I've got Bill Owen.
Hey, everybody.
I've got Greg, the owner of... wow, I completely just spaced on your store name, dude. Introduce yourself.
I'm Greg, PC Pack Rat from Smart Computer Store.
And the next voice you'll hear is the usual host of our semi-kind-of-sort-of-regular podcast. Speak up, dude.
I'm here. I was trying to work out who you're talking to.
Me too.
Hey, it's Kyle BDM, the not host now, which is quite nice, actually.
The podcast host. You're the podcast
host. I do that sometimes. Not very well, but I do it.
And the last of our regulars is my co-host, Chris, the Modsquito.
Afternoon, evening, morning, whatever it is.
Jeremy, you're not doing very well. You've missed someone already.
Oh, dude, he was muted and sitting back and told us he wasn't going to be in here. We also have Graham. Graham, say hello.
Hi there. I'm sick, so I probably won't be saying much, but I definitely wanted to be on this one because I am a water cooling newbie. So, virgin or whatever.
Me as well.
Yeah, but you're closer to popping that cherry than I am.
Oh, Graham, you just wait. Yours is coming on the way.
I know.
EEL's going to send us a care package, so there should be something in there for you. The no excuses care package from EEL.
Uh-huh.
Graham's got a Titan X that we need to get wet this year in 2016.
No, we don't.
Yeah, we do. It's not that scary.
Graham, are you even using that video card right now?
Yeah, it's what's driving my rig right now.
I figured it'd be on some type of altar in your bedroom above your head.
Framed.
No, dude, it's my daily driver.
Well, kicking over to our usual weekly update on what's been going on to the Mod Zoo, and this time it literally is what's been going on to the Mod Zoo.
Holy cow, where's the form? Where do I log in? Where's all my posts?
Well, after all of these many months of me saying I was going to do something to the forum, I finally did it. So I've now updated the forum completely. So when you log on now, it looks very different. So we've upgraded from version 3.87, I think, to 4.181. So we've done a huge leap, and so there's still a few bits and pieces that are missing or broken, but I'm working through them, and if you spot them, just let me know, because some of them are just random settings that I can't find yet. But as far as your posts, they're all there. You can still log in. The staff are having a bit of an issue with logging in, but that's just because they're special. But all the rest of you should be able to log in just fine.
Did you mention that the chat room was back? Is it back?
The chat is back. So if you scroll through the massive array of subforums we have, there's a now chat box at the bottom, and I'm playing with having that on the sidebar or on the bottom, but at the moment it's sitting on the bottom of the forum.
I see. So if you're watching and you want to post some questions, should we tell everybody to try the chat room, guys? Presuming that a lot of people are registered ModZoo members already.
Yep, we can try the chat room.
Versus trying to follow this stuff on the YouTube channel or the Google+. You can go there and post your questions or comments and check out the new forum. This is a great reason to go check out things and get the layout of the land, make sure that your project log is still there.
I promise it's still there, and if it isn't, let me know and I'll fix that. I backed up this time. It's okay.
I don't know about you guys, but it's growing on me. I like the new layout.
No, one of the coolest things that I saw that just really caught my eye was how the background with the title headers, it'll just stay right behind those title headers, nice and solid, and doesn't move at all, but everything else slides in front of it. So that's a really slick-looking little design.
Yep. And one of the big things for us is you can now tag people. So if you use the @ symbol, you can then type in people's usernames, and they'll get a notification.
How the hell are you supposed to catch your message now? I didn't see your message. Great. Turn off all notifications off. We're going to go to
So everyone tag Bill in every post,
No.
just like you do on Facebook.
Right,
Just
I'm
tag
never
him all the time.
Bill, you're never going to get away from it. All right. So, moving on from there, the topic of the week, designing your very first hardline layout. Something that we've been talking about for a while for throwing something at me is a possible video series or, a how-to step-by-step guide. Moss, you want to free up the video from Bill for a second? So we tossed it around, and it first was going to be a little mini video series, and then we went to the idea of doing little inserts into the podcast, possibly, and that kind of fell through. And so what Bill just ended up doing was just throwing a bunch of stuff at me. I've got a box here full of gear.
That was a big shipment, and it'd been a while we were talking about it, too. I mean, I figured if I give you all the stuff, you have no excuses. That's why Graham is next in the firing range here for getting stuff. So.
Yep. Well, no, I appreciate it. I do need to have that fire lit under my ass every now and again in order to get moving on something like this. But the idea is I've been following water cooling for a while. I've been watching the evolution and seeing people literally from the very beginning just buying blocks of copper, throwing everything that they can at it with mills and whatnot to create their own fin layouts or to test all this other stuff, get the most efficient water cooling block that they can. And then watching them battle it out with the different theory and the different fin layouts, and oh no, you're wrong, I've got to do it this way in order to, if I do it this way, you get more turbulence, or if I do it this way, you get more water flow stream. And Bill was there with me in the Pimp Rigs forums watching all of the piss fights over who had the best ideas, and then you had geniuses trying to figure out, well, if we put aluminum with copper, what's going to happen? And we started seeing those battles of, well, you ruined my computer because I did exactly what you said. And water cooling has gone through several iterative jumps to what we have today, which is generally, if you're buying a major third-party component, they've all been anodized internally for the most part, so everything is mostly neutral, hopefully anyway, as long as you're using good water. If you're not using good water, that's still your own fault anyway. Don't use tap water, that's for sure. And I've not really, even though I've watched this for over a decade, I've not really done anything about it myself. And so Bill said, hey, it's time.
It's time. It's time. Here's the thing. You're not really taking the baby steps. You're jumping right into the hardline pool. And the thing is, going back to PETG tubing, which was discovered by Nubasaurus, one of our Modzu staffers, it makes the most sense because it's the easiest and cheapest. However, it is hardline, so you really have to plan your loop layout so you're not obstructing access to things inside your system. So we're just going to go over a very basic loop that is the best for accessing maintenance, as in filling and draining. And really what that is just starting with the CPU, just a CPU block, And Droog's got a 360 radiator. He's actually got a Fantex Lux chassis, which allows you to put a 360 radiator in the top. However, it's got to be a slimline radiator because there's not a lot of room in that top cover. But he also has the option, if he wants to expand the loop, he can go into a 240 radiator in the front, too, as well. But we're basically just going to go over the basics of a loop layout in pertaining to Hardline. And if you're watching, you've got any suggestions, go ahead and post them in the comments. Again, you can go to the ModZoo forum, check out the new chat window at the very bottom, post your stuff in there. And if we've got room at the end of the Hangout, we'll invite you in, and maybe you've got a Hardline loop that you can show off to us, too.
And see here, actually, let me fire up the other camera and take us over to the other case, because I want to get a look at. I haven't opened it up yet. Haven't pulled out anything.
You haven't opened it up yet.
Oh,
you must be a father
is...
with like a job and all that.
I pulled it out of the case. I got to look at the outside. It is a gorgeous-looking case. That is absolutely.
I have the white version here. Actually, it's been modified a little bit, but I've got one here.
Let's get mobile here. Let me turn my microphone. And...
whoa.
And let me get the light activated.
What's that, a cardboard side panel you created for it?
Oh, no, Bill. That would be one of your custom case replacement panels here. 1/8 inch, I believe.
See, I did this on purpose, guys, because everything's going to be revealed, and there's no way that he can hide mistakes. It's all shown.
So if we get a good look here, you can see that...
You literally have not opened this yet.
No.
You're
this
right.
is it.
See how I packed everything in there? Yeah. Luckily, it wasn't a system.
How did you manage to have that in your house and not rip it open?
Yeah, it's amazing. You must be busy.
Very busy. We had guests here and the whole 9 yards. So we've got 3 24-inch lengths of the PETG.
Right on. 1/2 inch OD, 3/8 ID, most popular size. Now, all the components, I thought I'd make this easy, are coolants. The CP water block. Oh, however, the reservoir is an EK Res, a 150, and it's got a DDC pump attached to the bottom of it. But all the fittings...
I don't know, Bill. I see something here that's not coolants.
Yeah. Well, part of it is... Droog is going to be a beta tester for MMPC Tech's new Hardline fittings. So if they spring a leak and something happens, he can't yell at me because I gave him all this stuff for free, right? Isn't that how that works?
Prototype testing.
You can't complain.
Dude, you don't know me well enough. I can always complain.
Did you sign a waiver?
I ain't signed Jack.
Hey, Drew, that monkey badge, hey, just an FYI, that ModZoo Billet monkey badge you've got, I saw it.
Yep.
Is that the big one or the small one?
That's the small one.
Okay. Just an FYI, I didn't have any left, but the bigger one will replace the Fantex case badge. Well, you do have a big one.
Yes, I do.
You have a big one.
Getting awfully personal.
But yeah, that's the same screw pattern as the monkey badge. Yeah, right there, dude.
Excellent.
Yeah, so you have to put that on later.
Beautiful.
You've now been branded for life, my friend.
Okay. Pardon the motion sickness, but
yes, I'm still trying to get over that.
Let's see here. Paper and more paper and more paper.
We should have labeled this Hangout an unboxing.
Yeah, this is like a really bad YouTube unboxing.
But it is on
what?
YouTube.
I didn't put it on a doily or something?
All right, so there's the EK Res, the 150, I believe, with DDC on the bottom. Kind of help Droog out, and you don't have to use this, but it's got the drain right there. You can, and that's awfully. There's a lot of fittings there, but that's on purpose so it would fit in there. See what else we got? More paper, more paper. Fantex case accessories. What is that?
Those are the mounts for the
Oh, for the reservoir.
for
Okay.
the res. Yep.
Here's what's really slick about the Fantex Lux is that it's got a reservoir bracket that mounts right on the back of the 5 1/4 bay. There's a plate there, so you can put your reservoir. In fact, I could show you guys right here. If you go to mine, basically this is what Droog's got in his build as well. His EK reservoir right there in that location. And what I did is I added some fittings so he's got a drain right on his reservoir. Droog, you better sit down, man, as I think we're getting a little bit seasick here.
Yeah, I got myself. Let me get my camera back over as soon as I can remember where I'm at.
You are at
There we
home
go.
in your office.
We'll have to get you a steady cam next time.
Yeah,
Mount that sucker on something. All right. So yeah, plenty of toys here. We got, let's see, some 90-degree fittings. Swiveling elbow. Silva. What am I doing? You sent me an email with these. And Bill appears to be frozen. Oh, there we go.
There's no fun going through an email when you can be paging through the parts.
No, he doesn't have to. You don't have to go through all those parts, Droog.
Okay.
Here's the thing. Basically, you're going to start out simple with this loop. You're just going to water cool the CPU. Okay, you got your CPU water block. At some point, we're going to push and force you to get those video cards wet as well. You had two? What did you have again? What were the two video cards?
I've got two 970s.
Yeah. Okay.
GTX 970s.
Okay. Really, this is just a matter of talking about a really simple loop of going to that reservoir up to, now you've got a 360 radiator.
Yes, that's right up in the top.
Yeah. Now, it's going to make the most sense for you because you also do folding at home. You're looking at putting quite a few 3.5-inch drives. You got a lot of, you're going to do your RAID and that. So you want that data storage space up in the front of the Lux.
Yep.
So basically, what I would do is have your radiator, your ports, or your inlet outlet right over the motherboard in the back. Okay.
Okay.
Now, I don't know how well you guys can see this. So. Okay, like that. Now, you're going to just come down. The outlet from the radiator is going to go to your water block on the CPU, and then you're going to go right to your reservoir and go right up the outlet from the reservoir and along the top of the motherboard and into the radiator. Very simple. Mosquito, you are a liquid cooler as well. Your feedback and opinions, comments are welcome as we guide him through this.
I will make all of the very, very bad suggestions.
Here's one thing that's okay. What Droog was alluding to in the beginning, when he's talking about this, is that here's the thing, and Mosquito will agree with this. Everybody has their own opinion of how to liquid cool your build. Okay. What people don't take into consideration is that everybody's system, everybody's case, and the environment it's in is different from the next. Okay? There's some basic ground rules that you want to take into account. It's kind of hard to say, hey, and I'm going to do this. What should I do for my loop? Well, you can go and do some research online to see some ideas for a basic loop, but it's really up to you to come up with something that works the best for you because you don't want to obstruct access to things. Like, for example, DDR slots. If you're doing hardline PTG and you've got DDR slots, you don't want to block any of those if you have to like swap out DDR or if you want to upgrade it later. Okay, so take that into account. And I think the main thing is, at least for me in my experience, when I put together a loop, it's all about this. It's all about the reservoir that you choose. Now, this particular build has got the 5 1/4 bay Cool Lance reservoir, but a lot of people like the cylinder style reservoirs. This is where everything happens for me. draining the loop, seeing for bubbles in your loop. Everything, it's all the nucleus right here. So when you decide on your location of this, you want to put it somewhere where it's easily accessible. If you've got to drain it, you don't want to have to take your entire PC and move it into a 360 and hold it up in the air to try to drain it out. And when you go to fill it, you want to be able to fill it with access. You don't want to tuck things away in a corner and that, all because you're trying to achieve some type of really super clean, sleek look. So for me, it starts with the reservoir location. You want to have it somewhere so it's easily accessible. What do you think on that, Moss? I want to hear your thoughts.
I would agree. I'm going to mute you for a sec, Bill. Just getting your echo. I would agree that sometimes one of the biggest pains is filling your loop, which is something that you can easily mitigate, like Bill said, by picking where you put your loop, or where you put your reservoir rather in your loop, and kind of keeping that accessible. I think is definitely one of the things that I try to do whenever I'm planning a loop, specifically for that same reason.
But yeah, it's at the same time it depends on what you want that reservoir for, because lots of the time it's you want, obviously with Hardline it becomes a lot more complex, but in terms of trying to degas the loop and drain the loop, you want it in multiple positions anyway. But it's about working out what's best for that case and what's best for your loop.
Here's another thing to consider when you're using that type of reservoir, and especially when you put it inside your chassis. And sometimes people put the reservoir like right next to the motherboard. Well, the easiest thing to do when you need to fill it and drain it is to create something like this. Take some flexible tubing and put G-quarter fitting. Oh, you don't have to have it on both ends, but do that. Put this in the top of your reservoir and just get a small funnel like this when you go to fill it. So let's see if I can try to. So basically, you get the idea. So you can access that reservoir from outside your system. Same thing goes for when you go to drain it later. Just connect this to the drain port, and if you follow the Modzu videos, you'll see that ball valve drain. Yes. And there's this style, and then there's also other styles too. But we're a big fan of that. That's actually a cool lance one there. And just connect your flexible tubing to that. And when I do a layout, I want to make it so when I go to drain it, all I have to do is just lean the PC toward me. I don't have to. I've seen videos where they're contorting themselves and flipping their system up in the air to get all the water out. No, you should just be able to, move it one way on your workbench and have a bucket on a stool right next to it to drain it. Now, yeah, it's probably easier said than done for some people, because I know that a lot of people want to have that super clean, sleek look and don't want to see that stuff.
Well, sometimes. Oh, I was gonna say sometimes that is kind of nice. I mean, to go for that super clean. You're like, yeah, I know it's a pain to fill, but at the same time, it's kind of like, part of it is, I think, as the aesthetic of having a water-cooled PC. So, like, I know on my wife's computer, the Victorian desktop, I shoved the reservoir in the back side of the case where the window wasn't, and then it's on an angle just so I could get it to actually fit. And honestly, it's kind of a pain in the butt to fill, and even more so to drain, but it looks cool.
Oh yeah, and I've got nothing against that. It's I mean, if you can definitely hide things, you've got space where the data drives were to create a shroud, just like this. There's a shroud here. Hide all the business away from view, That's a nice thing about shrouds, PSU shrouds and stuff like that. But what I was going to say is, when you do a lot of systems, you just want to have things be easy to do and get it done. When it has to get done, you have to swap out the water in it or whatever. You don't want to have to mess around with things, So if there's anybody that's watching Google Hangout or whatever. Oh, we're going to see one of Moss's builds here. I was going to say, if anybody's watching and they're also a liquid cooler and they've got suggestions or advice, let us know in the comments and we'll invite you in. Just make sure that your audio is working correctly in your microphone.
Yep.
I'd like to say quick that the reason we go with Hardline is so that we have clean look, and that's
Right. Yep.
Moss, did you want to change it so the camera was actually on you? So, 'cause I don't think anyone got the big screen of that.
Yeah, do that again, Moss. Let's see it again.
They should have.
I missed it.
The camera wasn't on. It was on Bill.
Dang it, Bill. It wasn't on the live stream.
I'm just here.
No, it wasn't on the live stream, so it should be good.
Okay.
It happens if, like, I know that if you guys happen to click on something, that's not necessarily what's seen on the live stream, so.
Okay.
I don't know. I saw it show up before I started moving, so I think we're good.
Oh, okay.
We're not that good at this yet. We're still working on it.
It just didn't flip for the rest of it. Okay, whatever.
You're just showing us the PC that you're hiding this stuff in the back.
Yep. But yeah,
It looks cool though.
Okay, Kyle, now it's your turn to show us your loop.
So this is a PC and a loop that has been running for about 7 years now. I have emptied the loop on occasion, but regularly. I do the loop maintenance, etc., and it's been through about 4 different pumps. But this is why we need one of the MMPC Tech GPU sag protectors as well. But give me a second, and I will come and show you guys my loop. So this is what my loop looks like currently, and this is what you shouldn't do. But I think everyone's gone and muted themselves, so you can't hear them laughing, but that's alright. But that bottle, yeah.
Yeah, okay, he was going to explain the water bottle.
So the water bottle is there because if I do this, look at that. Look at the state of that.
Sag, it's a bad thing, and it's real.
So I can put the water bottle in, and my GPU then boots up without giving me artifacts.
And you know, not only was that watching it sag, but you could hear that pressure release.
Oh.
So that so that is why GPU water blocks are heavy, and nobody likes them. But yeah, that's my flex loop at the moment. But
Flex loop.
Codename C, which I'm working on.
My Evian loop.
My Evian loop, indeed. But I am now working and have money and time, which is amazing. So I'm working on Codename C mods again, and I will be going Hardline as well, I assume. So we'll have lots of fun there.
Absolutely. And the good news with the PETG is, unlike acrylic, I can expect to have a little bit of flex in the system without seeing cracking showing up like you used to see all the time in hardline loops.
Right. It's novice tube is what it is.
And you know what? I am quite happy with that.
Yeah, it's great. It's very forgiving. That's what's awesome about it. There is the benefit with acrylic tubing is the clarity is much better than PETG. However, if you do if you ever ship your system, or you're just like taking your hardline build to a LAN or an event, at least with PETG, you don't have to worry about it getting hairline cracks from stress. So that's another thing I like about PETG.
How about colors?
Primo Chill has colored PETG tubing. They're the only one I know so far that has the colors. Moss, you used acrylic tubing though. It was like the fluorescent orange at one point.
Yeah, that's what's in the Victorian desktop over there. That is acrylic, but I did use. There is colored PETG out there now too. I think it's mostly Primo Chill or Monsoon. I can't remember which one.
And basically, PETG is what juice and pop bottles is. So, colors do exist. I just prefer using distilled water with a dye, so it's transparent color. That's just my personal taste, you know. What about you, Greg? When are you going to start liquid cooling? You know that you got that D-frame back there, and you had gotten some components early on with the plan to liquid cool it.
Well, that's exactly what I was looking at right now. Is basically I went with a DDC pump and the 150 mil res with blue fittings, and then it's acrylic tubing, but it's orange.
Yep, that's exactly the stuff I was using.
Yeah, and you can see if I turn it. See the D-frame has.
Oh, what a beaut!
Basically, the D-frame already has AIO cooler, but I did pick up a 420 radiator to go in there, and then the res will go basically up here, you know. And so it'll be just a CPU loop, you know. But like you said, you have to get started. You have to get your feet wet. That's
yeah, absolutely.
Do it. The other option, of course, is the SwiftTech kind of expandable AIO.
Mm-hmm.
This is the new 280 system with the Prestige system with the noise killer fans and actual compression fittings.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike just the barb fittings that the lower level has. So it's very expandable, but it obviously doesn't work for my D-frame. You know,
One thing I wonder about that SwiftTech, does that obstruct like accessing the upper portion of your motherboard though? Like if you got DDR slots up on top, or is there room actually to get your hand in there?
It would really depend on the case. It's basically a tubular reservoir now. They changed it, so you can get your hand behind it, but the pump is in the center of the back of the reservoir. It is specific to that reservoir now, and so you really can't change it out or anything, but it makes it expandable still because at least it has G-quarter fittings. Instead of the barbed fittings that the lower level one has. And then they added individually addressable RGB lights in there and in the pump. It's designed so that it can actually go in there pretty much any way now because the pump is in the center of the back of the reservoir. And so
you could have that in the front of your chassis then if you want.
Really?
Yeah, it'll be. That's the thing is, if you put it this way, it's going to be down in the bottom, and it still work fine because where the pump sits is halfway up the reservoir.
Well, that's slick.
Yeah,
that's new.
Yeah, I like that idea much better than the top.
But obviously, you have the other problem that you can't do push-pull fans because of the reservoir location.
Yeah.
And this is a replacement for the old Edge kit that had the reservoir on one end and the pump on the other end.
Yep.
And it didn't fit in anything because you had way too much stuff to fit. You had to have a 360 radiator opening to put a 240 in it just because of the pump and the res. At least having it down below, in most cases, you have no problems. And in theory, I suppose you could turn it all the way around, but I don't know why you would because with the RGB lighting, you're going to want to use that as a feature. So we'll see. We're going to do a review on it and see how that goes. It looks pretty nice, but I'll probably do my custom loop shortly here.
Cool. You are doing a review of that one then, of that SwiftTech.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, the SwiftTech, that's the new Prestige kit, and they do make a 280 now, so it's comes with 140 mil noise killers, which are obviously expensive, really quiet fans that move a lot of air. That always helps. So we'll do a review of it and see how it turns out. Kind of as an expandable AIO. Probably try and get someone that's going to add later and put GPUs in, water blocks into the loop, and that'll be nice.
Right on. Graham, what about you? Okay, Graham, when you've thought about like liquid cooling, your first first. Oh, did we lose him? Yeah. Oops. He ran away.
I think he just ran away because we're going to harass him about water cooling his Titan once again.
Well, Drew, since you're so busy that you can't even open up stuff when you get it, it takes a while. I just kidding. When do you think you'll be able to start bending some tubing?
Well, right now we're looking at probably another, I don't know, looks like another month and a half before it'll be warm enough for me to open up the shop outside. But once I can actually work out there and not freeze half to death, I'll be digging out the heat gun and starting to take some measurements and getting to work.
You know, it's actually a good thing that I watched you unbox that because it made me remember that I did not send a silicone fill cord to put in the tubing.
Yep.
So I got I get that. Did you say that you had a heat gun already, or?
I believe we have one, and if not, I can probably get one very
Okay.
easily.
It would be cool in the future in a hangout to maybe watch you bend at least one of, or maybe like the last tube in your loop.
Oh, that's no fun. Let him get a little practice first.
I was going to say, what, you want me to save like an ampersand bend for the very last one, tie a knot?
I'm pretty sure my first acrylic tubing bend is on video from when we did the MZ1 build.
Probably. Yeah. I think I remember that.
That was the very first one I ever did, and Bill had to stick a camera in my face and figure out what I was doing.
That's what happens when you become friends with us.
It was the hangout, right, Moss?
No, that was you were recording video, and we were at the gallery.
Yeah.
And we'd had we were doing the acrylic tubing for the MZ1 build, and I don't think it was a hangout. I'm pretty sure that was just we were shooting
just
video.
YouTube.
Yeah. You know, well, I referenced that video the other day, so you know, it's a great thing that we caught that. Somebody was on the forum, Grim. I don't know if you caught that thread. He posted, I think, Saturday. He was asking how much space on the tubing he should heat up before he bends it. There's a thread. Apparently, he had I don't remember what brand it was, but he had the 4 OD tubing, and he was wondering how much of a space to heat up the tube before he bent it. And what I said is, usually what we do is like 6 to 8 inches. You just rotate it as you're heating it, and with PETG, you can just feel it start to give, you know. So I don't know. I'd have to find that thread again. But if anybody out there is watching, is also a liquid cooler and done a hardline loop, and wants to share some advice, input, feedback, let us know in the comments wherever you are, whether you're on the forum or if you're in the Hangout chat or on YouTube. 'Cause I don't think we have any Q&A for this Hangout, do we?
No, if you have any questions, if you're on the YouTube page, the excuse me, the live chat is working now, but that comes at the expense of the official Q&A app in the Hangout, since I don't know why YouTube and Google Hangouts don't want to play nice together.
Yeah, I know.
So
It's almost as though they were made by the same person, eh?
Yeah, what the heck?
So I may have missed the whole filling and draining a loop between my USB crashing out on me. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. You left at the right time the last time, though. I was going to ask you what you would like to do.
Yeah, well, it wasn't so much that I left. It's my camera, my keyboard, my microphone all die. The USB hub, so I can hear you guys still, but that was about it. So, I don't know what I'm going to be doing as far as my loop goes. Probably just CPU at first. I know you guys really want to get me to do the GPU, but no.
We're just razzing you, man. Did you have a question or something you wanted to say about?
Yeah, I guess I'm. So, I've never done this before at all. So I'm an AIO guy. I've got a H100 GTX I love. It's great. It's my version of liquid cooling, which I get so much shit from these guys about.
Just because you deserve it. It's all
Yeah. Yeah. At least I don't have a water bottle in my case.
right. I've got
You
better
know-
things to do, like fix forum.
How's that going for you?
It's doing better than it was doing 2 weeks ago when I tried last time.
So I guess my question is what's the best practice for fill? I mean, I understand drain doing a ball valve and draining out from the bottom. Because I understand that that should be the lowest point for when you drain. But what about filling? I guess
Not necessarily. It all really depends again on your setup. For filling, what you want to make sure is that you open up something else in your line so you don't create trapped air inside your loop. Some of these reservoirs out there too. This is another example. Is they only have one port in the top, right? And it's nice to have two because you can open up one while you're filling. So you don't now. So what you'd have to do instead is open up something else. So you can open up your ball drain valve until it reaches that point, or there's been times where I've taken off one of the caps on like the GPU bridge or something until it's reached that point. So you just kind of watch out for getting air trapped inside. Otherwise, it's a bitch. It can be a real bitch. Also, it can be a real pain in the ass when you're draining too, because that will trap water in like your radiator or something, and I can hear it in there, but I can't get it out.
Now, how do you feel about like res pump combos?
Awesome. I mean, that's what we suggested today. That's what Drew has. They're great because they save a lot of space, and that's also what Greg has too. This one doesn't, but it's compact right there.
Well, because I think my first one is going to end up being in a very tight case. It's a very small case.
That little Roseville that you love so much?
No, it's actually going to be the P400, the new Fantex.
Oh, okay, cool.
So
yeah, well,
because that was the condition of me doing the review, is I have to do my hardline in it.
Oh, yes, that's right.
So
here's another thing. We used this when we did the Origin PC build. This Coolants combination reservoir. These are really, really nice because everything's in 2 5.25 bays. And what's nice about it is that you can combine loops. You can have 2 individual loops through one reservoir. It allows you to put 1 or 2 D5 pumps in it. So it gives you options. Also, it's got the fill ports in the front. You can slide it out. You can both fill and drain from this if you want to. So what I like about it and why I use it in this build is because it's saving space. I don't have the reservoir to navigate. I don't have to navigate around anything in here. It's all up here in space that otherwise would have been empty. So the only thing is that these reservoirs come at a cost. I think their retail is like $225.
Okay.
It's the Coolants. I don't remember what the name is. It's the dual res bay.
It is that is a really nice res though, because you can configure it in multiple different ways with multiple pumps. You can have 2 pumps, and it can do either dual loops or dual pump and single loop and all that fun.
Yep. So there's the 2 D5s in there, and then you can configure it again for an individual loop with a pump, or 2 individual loops with 2 pumps, or 1 loop with 2 pumps. So it's really nice to have all these options, and it's dead quiet too when it's running. These are great pumps to D5, laying D5s. These are also the variable speed control ones too. So yeah, it's definitely, if you can afford it, it's a great way to go. It just makes things so much easier. And again, we used it in the Origin PC build, and I think in the last part of that series, there is the video of me filling that loop, I think, and I don't know if I drained it to doing that, but and see, he wanted to have, Kyle, backward compatibility to access archives of things.
What backward compatibility to
I mean,
1995?
The ability
Ooh.
to watch his DVD porno collection that he's.
In Kyle's defense, these are like
His
$3.
father passed away, and he inherited the porno collection, and he wanted to watch it. It's just stuff that's no longer available online that he can download. Okay.
We do have a question.
You had to bring up the porn because Jesse's not here.
Probably. We did have a question, if we have a sec, which the question was specific to D5s. It asked if do those D5 pumps cause a lot of noise or anything in the case. So I guess that's something we could probably talk about is like, for example, my favorite pump, I really like the D5s because I think they're actually a little bit quieter, but they're also a little bit bigger and harder to hide. And so, Bill, do you have a preference?
Absolutely. If I can afford D5s, I mentioned that in the last podcast we talked about the price of liquid cooling and how expensive it is. If you watch eBay, you'll see Lang D5s also sold by SwiftTech as what is it, MCP or SwiftTech?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's the same pump, okay? And the thing is that the Lang pumps, which are the DDC and the D5, are rebranded by several companies out there. So they are the best pumps. And when you've got a D5 and it's running, it's silent. It's just dead silent. Same with the DDC as well. If you hear it, there's probably something wrong with it, or it's going to have a short lifespan. If you shouldn't hear your pump. Another thing too is you always want to make sure that you get the pump wet first before you start it up, before you power it on. You don't want to run it dry either, or else you'll kill it, the diaphragm in it. So, yeah. But most pumps out there will be sold as a DDC or D5, unless you're looking at eBay and there's just like some off-brand pumps on there, direct from China. I don't even know the names offhand, but you want to look for a Lang pump.
Those would be the top two choices you'd want, either a DDC or a D5.
Yeah, yep, Lang, both made by Lang.
Unless all you want to do is push a ridiculous amount of pressure and see if you can blow your fittings up, because the Coolance has one, the PMP 500, that's ridiculous, but it's also really, really loud.
Yeah. Again, I'll say about Coolance, we use Coolance in the Origin PC build because the stuff just works. It's decent quality and the price is right. But I'm not necessarily partial to this Coolance. EK also makes great stuff too. There's stuff by Aqua Computer. It's a little bit more pricey. But if you're just looking to get into liquid cooling for the first time, look at what you can afford, and you can upgrade it later. As you get into it, you'll discover what type of quality each manufacturer offers too. It's like anything, any other kind of hobby.
Yeah, and you'll end up having boxes of stuff.
Oh yeah.
You can always recycle your water cooling gear. If you just speak to Moss or Jesse, and they'll tell you how much of their water cooling gear gets recycled on an almost daily basis.
We both have a pretty good stock of parts. I have a lot of parts that have never actually seen water. They've just been installed in like review builds or whatever. But yeah, I mean, that's what is kind of nice is if you're not one to just take your mods and set them on a shelf. Not that I would ever do that, but if you're willing to take your gear all apart, you could definitely use your radiators, your water blocks, as long as you don't change like the CPU socket mounting. GPU water blocks probably not as reusable because chances are if you're going to be going with a new one, yeah.
I was looking at the EK configurator thingamabob, and the blocks seem to be pretty. They seem to span a few generations anyway. Because I know a lot of the GTX 970 blocks are compatible with some 670s and stuff. So
670s, 760s, and 970s. There's certain ones that are all the same water block design.
Yeah.
Kyle, you're running a little EK res. I think it's like the 120.
Yeah. 120 or something like that.
And it's just quiet. Silent. You don't hear it at all.
It is now. I had a slight air bubble issue at one point, where it was the loudest thing on the planet. But now that I've got a Elgato little plate in there to stop the bubbles forming, it's all good. Yeah, it's almost silent. I think because my PC's in a constant stage of me trying to work out what's wrong with it at the moment. Hence it being on my desk with no side panels or front panels or top panels or anything else on it. It isn't actually attached to anything at the moment, so it kind of rattles on the case floor at the moment, but other than that, it's completely silent.
Well, silence. Well, I had to give a demonstration of what we were just talking about. No, silence is definitely going to be something I look forward to. As you were saying, Bill, when I run the folding at home, it's not quite as loud as it used to be, but the fans in here can turn into a hairdryer pretty quickly once it starts dumping the heat. So getting the water cooling in there definitely helped that out quite a bit.
Hey, Droog, I wanted to ask you, on your motherboard, where is your DDR slots located? That was just out of curiosity.
They are on either side of the processor.
Okay. That's good to know, because sometimes you get that DDR that's right above, and then you run into have fans inside, right above the motherboard. Just want to make sure you got space. Okay. All right, cool. Well, everybody who's watched or watches this later is welcome in the comments, even on YouTube, because a lot of people comment on the YouTube video the next few days after it's been published. Go ahead and post your comments in there, and we'll try to go in and check. Or questions, too. It's always best to go on the forum, though, and start a new thread so we don't miss it.
Yes, that's right. www.themodzu.com. We just got a brand new coat of paint, I should say, scraped off all the old monkey pool that's been flung around for the last few years. And hopefully most of the hard lifting's been done. It looks great. It's running nice and smoothly. And minor nitpicks we've been hearing about all day, those are getting straightened out.
Well, not until tomorrow, because I'm going to bed.
You got to work tomorrow, Kyle.
Yeah, it's coming up to 11 o'clock, so I should probably go to bed soon.
All right. Okay.
All righty. Well, if you, again, as Bill was saying, if you have any questions, comments, or otherwise, go on over to themodzu.com. We have a Google Plus page, the Modzu, and all of the links can be found for our various media sources. We've got Twitter, we've got Facebook, Google Plus again. We have our own YouTube channel. Those can all be located through themodzu.com. And we have all of our case reviews, our hardware reviews, keyboards, mice. We do whatever people are willing to throw at us, pretty much. Lights is something that we've done in the past, RGB, multicolor, all kinds of great fun stuff. I remember I did a pair of headphones a while back.
Lasers, CNCs, water jets,
keyboards.
Let's see. I remember when
3D
Mosquito, he reviewed a handheld laser thermometer. Remember that?
Oh, yep. Yep.
Oh, yeah. Cat loves that.
Cat loves that.
Got a laser on it.
Pew, 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 pew.
All right.
Hey, speaking
Thanks,
of...
everybody, for joining us. This was great.
Oh, yeah, it's been fun. Hey, Greg, just a quick question. Your shop is adding all new stuff here. I keep hearing rumors of Greg's Pew Pew Palace.
Yeah. Sure. Laser cut stuff.
Vinyl.
Allow people to send designs, custom backplates. And if someone needs a Modzu decal, and we stick that on. No, it won't stick to Anyway, yeah, lately I've been trying some weird stuff. The Thermaltake Core V21 comes with a magnetic badge, and it just doesn't hold on very nice, so I started making my own badges, you know, that replace that badge, you know. And then, of course, the Z-Box project, Zotac Z-Box. They sent a Z-Box, and they, you know, normally your Z-Box comes in a standard case like that.
Boring.
I'm making a lighted Z-Box case. The corners will light, and the Z-Box logo will light in RGB lighting. And so, basically, just putting the Z-Box in a new case.
Is that
Nice,
multi-layer?
man.
Pardon?
Is that multi-layer, the acrylic?
It is, yes. Yes, it'll have one more layer for the motherboard, so it'll have white on the bottom, white, and then I've actually made white corner blocks that will replace these clear ones, so it'll all be basically white. And then with the RGB lighting, you'll be able to do the actual Zotac color, the orangish Zotac gold color.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and so little rivets, screws holding it together, but actually those are more for just looks.
Looks good.
But it's fun stuff having a laser cutter that, you know, when you can't find what you want, sometimes you just build it, you know. I wanted to put some ring fans in that Core V21, but I don't want it to be loud, and so I was going to put the Thermaltake ring fans in, and it's just easier to make your own lighted rings to bolt in that don't have fans, so you don't have any noise, and when you slow them down, it won't dim the RGB lighting.
Sure.
So that's the latest fun stuff.
That's really cool.
Alrighty. Well, I figured since you were on, give you a chance to show off your wares, sir. And on that note, we are ending the show for this week. We had a wonderful time. Again, if you have any questions, comments, send them on over to us at themodzoo.com. We'll probably laugh at a lot of them, but we'll get to them as soon as we can. You guys have a good night, and we'll talk to you later.
Good night. See you next Sunday.
Bye.